Welcome to this tutorial on a mega wool farm. Woo! Woohoo! Okay, those could have been a bit higher. This is a very customizable wool farm. You can change a whole bunch of stuff about it. It is tileable, you can pick your storage system, you can pick rates, you can pick aesthetic to a degree, you can pick size. The world is your oyster, and by oyster I mean wool farm. So I received a request for a wool farm design, and I decided to see if I could come up with something a little bit different to the typical wool farm design. So that is what I have done here. I came up with a couple of tricks to increase the rates a lot. And these tricks, in hindsight, they're kind of obvious, but I also haven't really seen them used elsewhere. One of them is to use multiple grass layers to increase grass spread. And the second is to use a whole bunch of sheep in the pen so that they eat the grass quicker. These two things increase rates quite a lot. So I'd run a couple of tests here. This row here is rates with 2 grass layers, and this is with 3 grass layers. So I ran a test for an hour with 2 grass layers. I got 40.7 stacks from this build here, which is 2.5 stacks per hour per each one of these columns. And then, but with 3 grass layers, 52.6 stacks, which is about 3.3 stacks per each one of these per hour, which is quite a big difference. And along here, you can see the difference between the 2 grass layers and the three grass layers. It's pretty significant. So in this build, I used 20 sheep per slot because I thought that was the entity cramming limit by default. The limit's actually 24, so you could probably get even higher rates than these. Having said that, do consider lag. If you're on a multiplayer server, or if your computer can't handle it, you might not want to have that many sheep in there, because it's a lot of sheep. Another thing to note is that I have opted for a different type of collection system. Most people, they will use just a hopper minecart underneath the sheep to collect the items, which is efficient but boring. And I don't like having to have your storage system underneath the sheep or having to like elevate them somewhere else. So I decided to try using the block elevator, the old block elevator, where an item will pop through a 3x3 column of blocks and out to the top. Fair warning, it's a little bit lossy because sometimes the wool will pop out further, but honestly, the rates are still really good, and it's just really fun to watch all the blocks pop up through the glass. It's very satisfying. I could just sit and watch it for hours. And another big benefit with using the block elevator design is that you can send the blocks pretty much anywhere. The collected wool, you can make the storage anywhere. I've put it on the back here. This could be like the other side of a wall, and then you have your storage here with the wall in between here. But in theory, you can send these water streams anywhere. So this is the design for when you have multiple different colors and you want to keep them all separate in the storage system. And then over here, we have a design for if you just have a whole bunch of ones all the same color and you're just collecting all of the wool together. And this one is a bit easier to build. Here is just a quick illustration of what these look like with 1, 2, or 3 grass layers. The only reason to use less than 3 would be for aesthetic reasons, because it is kind of ugly. Then yes, this is what one individual pod unit thing looks like. So without any further ado, let's get to building. All of the items that you need will be in the description. And I am going to be making the 3 grass layer one, but if you want fewer ones, then just copy the way that it looks over there. So let's start out with grass. I'm going to be making a 4-pod version, just because it would take a long time to build the whole one, which is going to be 9 blocks long. You kind of need 2 blocks per sheep plus 1 extra. So we do that. Each sheep gets like a 3x3 area, but there's some overlap for space efficiency reasons. Grass blocks like that, that's where the sheep stand. And then let's put some glass. This is important, you have to use glass blocks on top of the grass. Otherwise it kills the grass. So you need glass so that the grass survives and it can spread. Bit of a tongue twister, that. And then on the back here we need observers pointing into these grass blocks, and then dispenser on top of each one, like this. Then the next layer of grass. I really have to think about whether I'm saying grass or glass. And then glass. On top of that. Just leaving the space for the sheep for the moment. And then your final layer of grass. And then another layer of glass on top of that to finish. Like so. How you get the sheep in there is up to you. You might find it easiest to knock out this block here and then use rails and minecarts to ferry the sheep in. Or it might be easier to drop them in from the top, like this. Maybe don't drop them more than 2 blocks though, to make sure they don't take damage. Let's put a sheep in there now, just as a placeholder. I'm just going to put 1 in, and then fill this up again. And then this is really important. To make sure the block elevator works, you need a glass block where the sheep's head is. So the easiest way to do that is to push it in with a piston. Not like that. Like this. And then that way the blocks get caught in, the wool blocks get caught in that block and can travel up, but the sheep doesn't suffocate. Next up, let's do redstone on the back here. You want a block next to each observer, and then a redstone on top, which sends the signal up to the dispenser. And then we need a thing like this, which is just a pattern you can repeat for as many pods as you have. Repeaters pointing into those blocks, and then redstone going along here. We interrupt this broadcast for some breaking news from Future Ocean. You don't need to use repeaters along, like, you could just use redstone, and I don't know why I didn't realize before. So ignore the repeaters in the rest of this video. You could just use redstone, make sure that the signal can get all the way to the dispenser, and thank you and good night. If it's a very long line, you might need to put in a repeater to extend the signal. Because redstone has a max length redstone signal has a max length it can travel. Just make sure that you put it in between 2 of these, because if you put it, say, here, then this one is blocked from getting any kind of signal. Like so. The next thing to do is to build this up as tall as you want it. It can be as tall as you want. Just keep going. It makes the storage customizable, because the taller you make this, and then the more storage it can funnel down through somewhere else, if that makes sense. So if you want a lot of storage, and you want that system, then make it tall, otherwise just make it short. And the other thing is that the tower of blocks here doesn't have to be glass, it can be anything you want. Go nuts, go wild, make beautiful designs and send them to me. I'm gonna use bedrock, because why not? Let's use some warped planks. and just build this up. That's a bit ugly, but never mind. So you need, oop, that's wrong. A hole in the top here, in the middle of each, like directly above each sheet for the items to pop up into. And then we build a channel along. So let's just make this all blue ice along like this. No, you can make the channels as long as you want. If they're longer than 8 blocks, then you'll need to extend the water stream. You also want ice along every side for the items to slide down if they get caught on the side. You don't have to use blue ice, you can use packed ice. I would recommend not using regular ice because it will melt. So there's that. You want to bring this up 1 block so the items can't pop out that way. And then you use glass panes or iron bars along the sides like this, and you want them too high so that the items can't pop over, because that also can happen occasionally. Like so. I know this collection system looks a bit unintuitive in terms of how the water streams are. I know it looks weird that there's air gaps here. I did a lot of testing. If you use full blocks here, the blocks that come up will often get caught in them and just start jiggling, and they will get stuck, and then they'll start sucking up other blocks that come up, and it just is really lossy. This works a lot better. Occasionally you get items pop out here. That's what the ice is there to help with. They will slide down and into these extra hoppers here. But most of the time, the blocks will actually just go down here and into this hopper here. Then well, before we put in water, let's see, because we don't want it to flow everywhere. You want hoppers at the end here, but you don't want them pointing into the ice. So this is up to you, like, again, what storage system you're doing. You are going to want hoppers in between here, but we'll leave that for now. And we'll put ice planes again along here, and then you want blocks around the end to stop the water stream going any further, like this. Then we can put the water in here, like so. You need a full block here and not a glass pane, because otherwise they'll get waterlogged and form source blocks, and then again the items will just get caught. Okay, now if you want to save a few extra blocks, which is what this ice is here for, you put hoppers in each of these spaces and then join them up, and you can join them up and collect everything in a chest or a shulker box at the end here. So that would be about here. So you do a chain along here like this, and then connect hoppers to them like this. It's not a big loss. I made a note here in this test here. These are the items that got saved in the space of an hour, which as a percentage of the total number of blocks we got is 2.8%. So it's not a huge saving, but it is a little bit, and you might find that you want to save those blocks. So for the on-off switch, you can do the simple design or the complicated design. What the complicated design does is make sure that all of the sheep get harvested when you switch it on, because if you've got multiple sheep in here, when you switch it on, probably their wool is all grown, and so it's a waste to not harvest it all at the same time. The simple design is just to have a lever and a torch, and then hook this up to this like that, and then that is off and this is on. And then if you wanted to harvest all of them when you start, you could just flip this a bunch of times and that would work. But it's But that's the pleb way to do it, you know? So the sophisticated way to do it is you still have this lever with a torch. You bring this along here, put that in there. You want a repeater here just to make sure the signal can't travel backwards, because that is a thing that can happen. So you bring the redstone up onto a block like that, and then you want an observer observing it, and then this sticky piston there, pushing a redstone block, and then a space, and then another piston. This is the etho hopper block, by the way. Like so. Then you have hoppers facing into each other underneath it, like this. A block there and a block there with a comparator on top of each of these, going into a block like this. The redstone and redstone, like so. Then you want another sticky piston here. Let's place a block there just for simplicity. You want an observer facing that way, and then a space, and then another observer like so, and then a block. Then the final thing to do is to put in blocks into this to set the length of the clock timer. For 20 sheep in each pod, 6 blocks is enough. But this is another customizable thing. It will change. You can change it if you've got more sheep or less sheep in there. And then the final thing is to put these shears in. It's worth using Unbreaking III shears if you can. Oh, but I did not mean to do that. Oh, never mind. Yeah, but they will last a good long while. So you don't have to use Unbreaking III, but it helps. Again, how you want to do the storage system is up to you. These hoppers are what collect everything. So you can either do like a wall of chests. Well, you want it like this. Not like that. And then like a chain of hoppers going down like that. Or you can send it into a shulker box loader. That might be a bit overkill. But you can do that and then into a wall of chests. If you want to use a shulker box loader design, then I would recommend using a 1 wide tileable one. I was actually going to do a tutorial for one that I thought I kind of came up with by myself, but then it turns out other people have already done it, and so yeah, I'm not going to do the tutorial, but I will show it to you here for those of you that don't know. So this is where, wow, good start. That's where your shulker box goes. And then you want you want an observer facing down on the side of it like this. And then a sticky piston like so. Then you want a hopper. Let's see. It's a bit difficult to build in the air. You want a hopper there, the comparator on top of it, and then a block there, another redstone block here with redstone across the top of it like that, and then an observer observing that, and then another observer here. Then you want a dispenser facing up here. That's what places the new shulker box. And then I personally like to put a couple of droppers here because it increases the storage. And then if you want extra storage, if you happen to need extra storage, you can put a hopper there with a chest on top of it, or even like a double chest like that. I'm just gonna put the single chest there. And this is where you put your shulker boxes. Let's see, that's a white one. Let's color code it, because why not? And then you put all of your shulker boxes in these along here. And then this is obviously where you put your wall of chests that the shulker boxes go into. And this is overkill, but it's so much fun. So that's how it works. Every time this gets full, it'll break one and then place a new one. I will try to hunt down the people that have done tutorials. Hunt down? That sounds so ominous. No, I'll try to link their tutorials in my description. But I did also show myself building it because I kind of came up with it by myself as well. So. If you have all the same color sheep, or you don't care about mixing the colors in your storage, then the bottom of the design is identical. The only difference is the top, where again you build as high as you want. And then let's get some trapdoors. Again, I worked on this for a while to see what was going to be least lossy. Trapdoors are better than full blocks because the items don't get stuck in them. So you put trapdoors all the way around the sides that you're not collecting on, if that makes sense. Let's just... And then again, you want ice ideally as the floor to make the items be collected quicker. By ice, I mean, of course, packed ice or blue ice, because the regular ice melts. The storage system, again, it depends on where you want your chests. And of course, you can put it in a shulker loader again, if you want. I'm just gonna put some chests down here, like so. And then you can just, let's see, hoppers in these all the way down. And then you want a hopper there, and then one on each side, pointing into it. And then you can put blocks or trapdoors around here, whatever you want. Let's put our water in. And then this would be fine because the items can slide over the ice easily. If you had, again, a longer one, you would probably need to put in a water extension thing, like I did here. At the end of the water stream, you put in some signs or some trapdoors and then start a new water stream. And then ideally, you cover it all up like so to stop items popping out. There's a couple more things to note. One is that although this will actually last a long time, 9 Unbreaking III shears, if you do want to be able to have storage to just pipe in all of the shears in the whole world, then we can change this redstone slightly to allow for that. So, this sheep, you're kind of in the way. Then get rid of all of this. Let's see, the hopper. So you want a hopper to go into each of these, and then on top of here, instead of the glass, you want a full block. Doesn't make any difference because obviously it's not destroying any grass. And then you want full block here and here. And then the same for all of these. And then you just have redstone all the way up like this. So obviously this is locking the hopper, but it only locks it when the system is off or in the brief moment when a sheep is getting sheared. So it does not matter. It is fine. And then you can just obviously connect in these like this. It's a lot of hoppers. But you can hopper, and then you can have some running along the top here, and then into a chest, like so. The other thing to note is that if you want to re-dye sheep and you have a load of them in here, it is possible. Obviously, it's simple with these guys. When you have loads of these, it tends to be you try and you can't. The dye won't work. Let's get one of nice. This is a good color. So it is possible. It's a little bit finicky, but it can be done. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that block so that. Oh wow. Yeah, so that it can bounce up and down, and then. Let's see. Let's just put that back there for a second. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of baby sheep. Let's do that, and then that. So now they're all bouncing up and down in the water. And then should be fairly straightforward to just dye them all. Might take a little bit of time, but it is possible. It's probably possible also to set up a system like with a dispenser and a bucket to release it manually and maybe move the blocks out the way as well if you want. That is outside the scope of this tutorial. Once you're done, you just get rid of the water again. And then you obviously have to replace this block that their heads are in. But yeah, there you have it. It is totally doable. Just remember that you can't re-dye sheep while they are shorn, so you have to switch the system off and let them regrow all of their wool before you can re-dye them. Let's just see this in action again. I love watching it. It's just so satisfying to watch. Yes. More. Whew. So yes, that is the tutorial, the system. This is probably a really long tutorial because I was trying to cover everything. I hope that is still watchable and actually instructive, more to the point. As always, if you have any questions or comments or whatever, just let me know and I will help you if I can. And yes, I hope you enjoy it. It's a fun farm. It is a fun farm. Yes. Until next time, bye bye.